And we will be live.
Yep, we are live. Hey, what's up, everyone? Ryan Arnold, aka Demon Master Reviews here, and welcome to the Damaged Incorporated Show, episode 8. I am joined by Jdub of Metal Connection and his good friend Clint. And today we are going to be doing a series I mentioned on episode 7. The series is called 1, 2, 3, and Done, meaning that these are bands that did 1 to 3 albums and then called it quits. Either, just said we're done or circumstances happened. So all of us have picked 5 albums, and yeah, let's get started. Jdub, why don't you start?
Okay. I wasn't maybe specific about the albums. I had just 5 bands in general that only had 1 or 3. So
Yeah,
I have whatever I have of the bands in particular. But anyway, I try not to get super obscure with all this stuff. But my first couple might be a little obscure. You guys are going to scratch your head. But I guess this is the type of series where it is going to be a lot of obscure stuff. Bands that only did put out 1 to 3 albums. So some of us might be going down the obscure rabbit hole. Maybe that was your intention for the show of people watching to discover bands that they might have never heard of or something. So maybe that's what we're shooting for. But anyway, first up, I'm going to show a band called Haywire. Oh, wow. Haywire here. And I got they actually only put out 2 albums, so I do have them both. I have the one on CD and the one Abomination. And just a quick little thing there. Yeah. I guess they'd be considered like a crossover band in general. This is their first album here. Oh, I'll put down the album and I can zoom this in. This is their first album here, Private Held. This came out in 1989. I think it was recorded 88, 89, somewhere around there. It actually doesn't say anywhere in here, but I have done a little bit of research on it. I think it was recorded around 89. And this is leaning more towards like the crossover hardcore realm. But as they got into their second album, Abominations, in 1990, they moved more into a pure thrash. So if anyone's watching and they're not fully into hardcore, I'd say definitely check out the Abominations first, as they did move more into pure thrash. And you can see as the cover here, the cover's just doing the full-on metal sign between. Well, I don't know if you maybe you can't see maybe the lighting or whatever, but you can see that the 2 fingers are up there doing the metal sign there with the little devil face. And yeah, rad cover. Yeah. But they have moved more into the pure thrash on the second album. I do prefer the second one, obviously, but the first one is still pretty good too. But yeah, the two albums, two and done, so to speak, and 89, 1990, and then they were done. It's kind of unfortunate because as they did move more into the pure thrash realm, it seemed like they had a lot of great. It seemed like they had a lot of ideas still. They weren't running out of ideas or anything. So I would have loved to have seen more. And that's mine. Haywire.
Yeah. To clarify, it's going to be a mixture of bands that are either some people might definitely know who they are, and then there is going to be obscure. So, yeah, I do want to clarify with you, Jdub. Yeah. Clint.
Oh, yeah. I went. There's going to be a couple that are obscure, like down the rabbit hole. People are going to be scratching their head, but I have some other ones that are going to be kind of some surprises. I even have a popular rock band that I'm going to save for the very last surprise.
Yeah. Clint. Yeah, Clint, go. Your turn.
I'm going to talk about, they only released 1 album, like nationally. I guess they have 1 more album that was like before they got signed. I've never heard it. I've never listened to it. But the 1 album I'm going to talk about is a band called Droid. And Droid kind of sounded like, I would say, like kind of like just heavy crunching metalcore, new metal kind of sound. And I think they need more, they were really obscure. They were like the opening act when I saw them at the Family Values, like in 2005, 2006. And like, I was like just kind of burning up, trying to go to the bathroom, going to go get some drink out of water out of the sink out of one of the venues, the bathroom. Because I really didn't have much money to buy, merch at that time or anything like that. But the guys are like, dude, you look like you're hot. I'm walking by their merch booth. I was like, yeah, it's scorching. It's like 107 outside. And they're like, dude, are you burning up? I was like, here's our water for you that just they pulled out of the ice chest. And, they gave me a free copy of the CD, and they told me just to promote them, to tell people about them. And I never forgot it. They were incredible for that one album. I was like, man, these guys are going to get up there. I really thought they'd be the next thing because they had that kind of just crunchy, heavy sound that never let you go. It just was like heavy. And they said, they told me to be on the watch out for another release, but it never happened. I looked up what happened to the band. There's like nothing on them. I looked up Droid albums. They only had that one. There's apparently another like pop band named Droid. That's like electronic pop. I'm like, nope, that ain't them. This band was like definitely hardcore, metalcore, new metal.
Yeah, it actually even sounds like it even sounds like with the name Droid. It sounds like they would have like an industrial element or something, right?
No, they really didn't. It was just heavy and didn't let you go, And he had just like one of those kind of hate-break kind of voices, but then he kind of went like had a low and a high, just really, really good vocal controls.
Cool.
And
yeah, all right.
That's my first take.
Yeah. All right. Well, mine, I have to look over on my notes because I don't have any of the bands that I have. I had one album on here, but I decided to do mine a little bit differently with mine. And the first four would be mostly those that have one or two, and I would save the one that has the most for last. So the first one I have here, looking at my notes, are HSAS Through the Fire. And this is, I believe, a super group that consisted of Sammy Hagar from Montrose and Solo, Neil Schon from Journey, Kenny Aronson, and Michael Shreve. And to describe this album for me is like kind of a Van Halen style of hard rock with songs that kind of borderline heavy metal. Like one song that I think to myself is kind of very heavy metal that I have on here is Top of the Rock, very heavy, very shreddy oriented, kind of glammy in some cases, but very more of hard rock, kind of a heavy metal. Then you got songs that kind of feels like a glam stuff, like Missing You, Animation, the songs Valley of the Kings and /Giza, which is kind of their, they kind of separated them. It's two songs that should have just been one. But there were a lot of other ones. They also, I think, the only single that came out for that album was Winter Shade of Pale, which was just a cover. I forgot who they were covering, but it was Fulcrum or something like that. I can't remember. But it was just a one and done for them. Obviously, it never happened. They never did anything after that. Neil and Sammy would eventually do another group together. Maybe at some point I might do them. Oh, wait, I don't think they have an album. It was called Planet Us, which would feature members of what would essentially be Chickenfoot. Neil went to do other projects, but also went back to Journey. Sammy then went to do solo and eventually would join Van Halen. And obviously a lot of people don't really talk about the Van Hagar years, but I love those albums. But and then they obviously did reconvene later on for two songs on a Sammy and Friends album where it were just covers and stuff. But yeah, that's HSAS, just a short-lived hard rock, kind of heavy metal super group. So
it's funny. I do a lot of like online shopping on Discogs, right? And I was actually, I still think that is in my Discog cart, as I was almost going to buy it one time, and I still think it is in my Discog cart. Like I build these carts and things like that. So I'm actually kind of familiar with that album, and at one point I was going to buy it, or I still possibly could, down the future. You can't buy everything in the world at one time, so you save it for later. So that's one of those albums that I saved for later. I'll eventually probably buy it unless someone else buys it before me or whatever. But I actually do know what you're talking about because I was this close to already owning it.
Actually, same here. I actually have it in my card at, on my eBay watching list. Because I bought,
wow.
not too long ago, I actually bought all 12 Van Halen albums.
Wow.
And I only paid like $34 for all 12.
Wow, that's
You can even ask Jdub. Am I not a cheapskate when it comes to music?
The bundle king. The bundle king. Buying bundles.
Yeah, I buy in bundles. Yeah, most of the time. Most of the time.
Yeah, I only have these two when it comes to the Van Halen albums anye.
You hit one too is good. I like that album.
I love it. But it's
Yeah,
I think it would be my either third or second favorite, only behind 5150 and For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. I love For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. I
think those two are the best two Van Hagars, I believe.
Yeah, but they're nowhere near the self-titled debut of Van Halen. I mean, that's
cool.
All right, Jdub, what's your second pick?
This one's going to be really down the rabbit hole. I don't really mean to do this, but I love this album, and it is really unique. If anybody does watch it and can get a hold of this, I'd highly recommend. So this is really cool. It's Yeah God Noisegasm 1989. And the reason I'm kind of showing this and why I think it's so unique enough to even bring it up is it's like experimental industrial thrash. So obviously everybody, thrash was huge in the late 80s, right? Metallica, right? Everybody was doing that sort of thing. But it's really weird is not a whole lot of bands were doing industrial metal. So that's what's going on here. It's very there's a huge industrial element, not on every song, but in general, there's a pretty big industrial element going on here. But it's like there's like thrashing going on. So, like I said, like even just explaining that, people are like, "What? It is super unique. This is one of the most unique albums I've ever heard in my life." Because industrial didn't even start making it big till Nine Inch Nails came out in the in the middle half of the 90s. Well, I guess Nine Inch Nails did have an album in 89, 90, but that was kind of more like computery kind of cheesy kind of industrial. Like this is like kind of industrial that really didn't come out till later. But yeah, in 1989, nobody was doing anything like this. There was a few bands here and there, but in general, nobody was doing industrial kind of experimental thrashy type music. So yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, you said 1989 thrashy industrial. When I think of that, is their very first Ministry in 1986.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I know. Ministry was super industrial, and maybe they were influenced by some of that stuff as well. Yeah, I know. I don't go super deep on my old Ministry. I like the newer Ministry when the productions became bigger and things like that. Back in the 80s, the production was really good. But yeah, the production on this and that's good. But yeah, it's super unique. I don't even know how the hell I came across it. It's just one of those things on Discogs. I spent so many hours on Discogs, and it's probably just I combined thrash and you can combine tags together. So I don't know. Maybe I combined thrash and industrial and searched 1989, and this came up. I don't know how the hell I found it or something, but I'm glad I did because I love this album.
Definitely need to check that out. Then sounds cool.
Yeah, actually, even on YouTube, you can only find a couple songs. You couldn't find the whole album, so it's one of those things where I kind of blind bought it just based off the 2 songs that I heard on YouTube. I'm like, oh, what the fuck is going on here? This is weird.
All right, Clint. Your second choice.
All right, my second choice. I'm really, really, really digging down the rabbit hole right here. This is going to be one of those bands that I guarantee maybe 1 in a million people know who they are. Is a band called Gismachi.
Oh, Gismachi, yeah.
Gismachi is a band. I thought at the time, it was Clown from Slipknot doing vocals. But he's actually the producer, and Gismachi Like whenever I saw them live, I saw them at Ozfest, and they were like the third or fourth band to play, and they just put on a killer show. Like, and you could just tell they were happy being there. They were happy to play in such a big crowd. And like, I just like live, I don't know how to explain what kind of sound they had. They were just really good. Like, I just don't know how to explain their sound. There's like one of those bands that just there's no way of describing them. Like they don't sound like anybody else. But they only have that one album, or I'd say it's even almost an EP because it only had 7 tracks. What?
I know I know what band you're talking about, and I believe they just came out with a brand new album.
Yeah, they're about to come out with the second one. I was about to mention that, but
Yeah.
it ain't the second album's about to drop. But I've been waiting like at least over 10 years for this album. But the thing about the new album, it ain't the same. The vocalist on the new album is actually Speed Street from Soilwork is actually doing the vocals.
Woo!
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, no,
I
that
mean,
album's already out.
like, I really am excited for Speed Street to do the vocals on the band. He's one of my favorite singers. But I mean, Gismachi with their original singer, I remember his name too because I talked to him at the show. His name was Sean Shin, and I just think his vocals were just different. So I was kind of disappointed he wasn't on the album. But I mean, just to get more music from him is kind of cool. And you couldn't think of a better person to replace you with than Speed. He's definitely one of the best vocalists out there. So let's see what happens. Better person to replace you with.
Yeah.
So I think that Gizmachi album that you're talking about, it's already out.
Oh,
It's already out, yeah. Because I'm pretty sure when we were doing the best of 2021 show, I ended up coming across it and ended up downloading it.
I'm definitely gonna have to get that then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why when you were saying they only put out one album, I'm like, they just put out a new album last year.
I thought it was going to come out this year, I guess, but it's been a while since I've listened, to any of the. I heard the first single they put out, and I was like, that vocalist sounds familiar. And then whenever they did the music video for it, I was like, that's fucking Speed. Holy shit. And I was like, fuck.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get through my next band on my pick. The next band I have is, I don't know if y'all are familiar with these guys, but the band and album in question is another one album band, Flesh Rot, Dementia, Dyslexia. Essentially a technical death metal side project of instrumentalist Naveen Kopperwees, ex-Animals as leaders. I think he's in Entheos, I believe. And Job for Cowboy vocalist Johnny Davey.
Yes.
Music is pretty much like kind of Job for Cowboy style, that kind of that technical death metal, crazy all over the place. Vocals and lyrics and stuff is so different, but they also incorporate a lot of experimentation, like the use of, I think, a saxophone, synthesizers. It's really, really, really interesting, especially on songs like, say, Inner Thoughts has like a saxophone solo. Weeping Hallucinations has kind of this synth, like kind of a Moogie style synthesizer stuff. Other stuff, I think Dyslexia Interlude is kind of going back, I think, to the Inner Thoughts guitar solo and stuff. Final Nausea does kind of go back to mental illness, but the album is just all over the place. It's, what you're getting. It's kind of that what Job for a Cowboy were at the time before they started veering away from that style and started going more towards kind of a more refined technical and then later progressive metal style. But it's more of like kind of like a continuation of what Job for Cowboy were doing, like on, I think, Genesis and Ruination, like easily. But just with Naveen Kopperwees doing everything on it. So it's definitely worth checking out if you're into that technical death metal stuff with some experimentation.
I'm definitely gonna have to put that on my list.
Yeah, definitely check them out. It is worth listening to.
What is the name of the band again?
Flesh Rot. FLE.
Oh, okay, I do have that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah.
I do have that.
Yeah. This is the out of the ones I'm talking about. This is one I used to have. I remember getting it. I think at a Hot Topic when they had like an area where they had CDs. I saw this. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, let's get Johnny Davey from Jump for a Cowboy. Hell, freaking yeah, I'm buying this. Because I was like, okay, this just sounds like Jump for a Cowboy, basically, just with Naveen Cowboy
very true.
Everything. It's just with a lot of more experimentation. So
yeah, very, very true.
Yeah. Jdub.
I know Johnny was supposed to be doing another new band that they released a single. Was it last year? And then I never saw anything else about it.
Yeah, there was another band he did, but it was basically a bunch of rest of the members of Job for a Cowboy on it. It's not Flesh Rot. It's something, I think it's kind of similar or something like that. Kind of like classic Job for a Cowboy, that, that style technical death metal from the early days. Maybe borderlining deathcore, but yeah, it's definitely worth it. And obviously Job for a Cowboy are coming back, which I'm really excited for.
I know.
I am a huge fan of Job for a Cowboy. I think I have only maybe 2 albums. I have Ruination, I have Demonocracy. So I'm excited for this new one. But
I can't wait for the new one too. And I used to play Call of Duty with Johnny on his Xbox.
Awesome.
And like how I actually met him was at a Slumber Slaughter, and I was like, dude, y'all were by far the best band of the night. Like y'all fucking killed it. He is like, actually, I think he's like one of the most underrated vocalists too in the death metal game, because a lot of people, like the old school death metal fans, see the name Job for a Cowboy. And like, I bought in Genesis, actually, fun fact, I bought in Genesis more times than any other CD I've ever owned, because that CD always got stolen. I bought in Genesis at least 22 times.
Damn.
But I smoked a blunt with Johnny Davey at that show.
Nice. All right, Jdub, your third pick.
Yeah, that sounds interesting with the saxophone. I love when bands can get like a trumpet or a saxophone in the music. Really weird.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, what's that other really? They're kind of made their name in there with doing that kind of different progressive kind of tech death stuff. What's that band?
Rivers of Nile.
There you go, Rivers of Nile. Yeah, don't they do some of that trumpet and horns and stuff?
Yes,
I think they do. Yeah, another band I think they do, and I still happen to have the CD for them. The Faceless on their Autotheism album. They do. I think the last thing in that trilogy songs that opened the album, it has a saxophone solo in it, which was really cool. So you get Flesh Rot and Faceless were the only ones I know that had incorporated a saxophone solo, which is really cool. But yeah, Jdub, you're.
I have a band that only did put out one album, and they incorporated some Irish trumpets and horns and things like that, even though it was a thrash band. So I might throw that one for the next one. But next up is, I don't know, I was trying to think of how to describe them, and I guess they did get lumped into the new metal thing, even though I don't really think they're fully new metal. You guys probably might have heard Drain STH, but I guess they're more of like a grunge metal band, if you'd say that, or just a regular heavy metal band with a touch of new. But I know they did get clumped into the new metal thing, and I wouldn't really necessarily say new metal, maybe more grunge metal. Definitely this first album is more grunge metal. So this is their first album from 96, and this is their second album from 1999. And obviously, as you can see, this is an all-female band, so female-fronted, female instrumentals. So yeah, I love this band. I love both these albums still to this day, even though we're going back to 96, 99. But I would have discovered Drain STH back when this got released, and I was full in my new metal phase, and new metal was still huge at the time. So yeah, I still love these albums. They're both incredible. I could yeah, I just love both. There's not rarely a bad song between the two albums, but yeah, I love my Drain STH, and I really wish I could have heard more from them because yeah, I love these albums.
Cool. All right, Clint,
All right, my next one, I'm gonna mention a band. It's a weird mix. It's like if you put Rage Against the Machine with AFI, and that is Egyptian Central.
Oh, I think I've heard of that name.
They're like Jamie. You know who Egyptian Central is?
I thought I've heard an Egypt Central before.
Egypt Central, that might be. Yeah. I always thought it was Egyptian, but it might be Egypt Central. Because I do get things mixed up occasionally. But yeah, either way, they're kind of like, I just never like one of those obscure bands. I actually just happened to see opening the show, and it just was like blown away because it just reminded me of like his singing was kind of like more modern AFI kind of high pitched singing, but then he kind of like did a little bit of new metal kind of high screams, kind of like against Rage Against Machine, but a little more rasp. Definitely an interesting band. Just you don't hear anything like that. Just I don't really have much to say about them. They're just really cool, really obscure, I thought.
All right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard of them. I'm pretty sure I even heard. Well, I'm pretty sure I even heard the music, but it would have been. I'm pretty sure this was This was probably like 10 years ago, sort of thing.
Yeah, They only had 2 albums. They had their self-title, and then they had one called Rabbit Hole.
Yes, yeah. I think I did check out that Rabbit Hole when it came out 10 years ago, sort of thing. But it's been 10 years since I heard it, so I'm
trying to remember. Weren't they that name? Like I've heard it. Like weren't they in a WWE video game?
I think one of their songs was.
I think I might be right on that one.
The next band I'll mention, I know for a fact they did have some video game music.
I think they did. They might be. I might be right. I might be wrong. Yes. You Make Me Sick was the song on. I think it was the one that has the. It had a. What's this one? Is the one with Triple H and Shawn Michaels on it? That might have been the 09 one. But yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that band before. So yeah. Okay, what is my third pick? My third pick on here, my number 3 one, is the self-titled debut band album from the industrial metal side project of David Draiman from Disturbed called Defiance. I just listened to a few tracks on here, and to me, I'm like, this is basically nice, yeah. I listened to this and I'm like, this just sounds like a heavier and more industrial version of Disturbed. Because David Draiman has such a pronounced vocal style that whenever you hear it, it's just like you hear Disturbed in a way. Wait, I just listened to a few tracks on it. I'm like, this just sounds like I've heard this before. This is basically Disturbed with a much more industrial sound. But I liked it. It's not that it's bad or anything. I love Disturbed, obviously. I got a good chunk of all of their discography, minus Believe, and I think the new album, the more recent album of theirs. But like I said, it's not a bad thing. It's just like I've heard this before. This sounds too much like Disturbed to me.
Yeah, I obviously own it enough to where I think it was cool. I think it's good. And yeah, it obviously is just a more industrial version of Disturbed, less guitar, less prevalent guitar, things like that. He's just kind of experimenting, maybe doing some more singing that he couldn't normally, stretching some singing and things that he couldn't normally do. But I did want to mention there's Lizzie Hale on the album. There's Serge Tankian. There's Tom Morello. There's M. Shadows.
Geezer Butler's on there too.
Yeah, there's Glenn. Geezer is on the Serge Tankian track, sorry. And then there's Glenn Hughes as well. But I really love the Tom Morello track, Opinion. And yeah, just all around. Vilify is awesome too. But yeah, all around, pretty good album, or else I wouldn't own it. But yeah, it's funny that you bring it up. I was like, fuck, I gotta go get it.
I'm like, I waited a little bit for you to grab it because I was like, oh my god, he has it. Wow. I definitely want to get it at some point, but yeah. But
yeah, I have it too. I've won it on a bid for like 99 cents.
Shocker.
Yeah. All right, Jdub, your fourth pick.
All right. So this next band is fairly popular within the underground thrashers. Like if any old school thrash, like Metal Ben will know this band. You know, like that sort of thing. Like if you're into your thrash, you know this band. But they only did have the 2 albums, and we're talking about Slammer here.
Ooh,
Slammer.
nice.
So the first Slammer album, the work of Idle Hands, is 1989. And then their second album, Nightmare Scenario, in 1991. And I'd say the first album is more just your typical standard upfront thrash metal, 80s thrash metal. And then by their second album here in 1991, they did get a little more technical. Like I actually find the second album a little more interesting just for that. There is some more technical aspects to it, right? They're like progressing and technicaling it up a little bit more. So I think I probably do prefer this second one a little bit more, although, the first one's still a banger. These are both bangers. We're talking about great thrash metal here. So yeah, Slammer, it's kind of just unfortunate, as I was saying, like as they did go into the second album, they did start getting a little bit more technical and moving away from the just typical thrash sound. So I would have loved to have heard more. It sounds like they had a ton of ideas. They weren't just like running dry. So obviously it is one of those sign of the times. Thrash was dying. That whole scene was dying as we moved into the middle half of the 90s. So I can understand why they weren't able to make another album or secure a deal or whatever, how that all, record labels and all that sort of thing. So I could see how that all happened. But this album is so good that I would definitely like to have heard another one. But yeah, this is both the Slammer only released 2 albums, and I got them both.
All right, Clint, your next pick.
All right, my next pick is one of those bands. They only had 2 albums. It's sad, I'd like to see more. If you're a fan of melodic death metal, I'd say it's like if you put Soilwork, Children of Bodom, In Flames, and a touch of 9 Inch Nails in a blender, you have Cypress System. And they're like one of those bands that are just like, and then, they throw in some clean vocals too. But yeah, they're really good. I heard Cypress System through a mutual friend, my friend Diago from Sweden. That's where they're from. He told me to check out the band. He saw them opening up for like At the Gates or somebody, that he went to go see. And he was like, man, this new band you need to go check out. I checked them out. I noticed they only had 2 albums, and then they called it done. I literally had to go obscuredly look hardcore for those 2 albums. Really, really good electronic melodic death metal.
Awesome.
I remember hearing that name. Yeah, 10, 15 years ago too, when I used to just check out everything sort of thing. I wanted to be on the ball with everything. This is going back a long time. So I have came across that, and I was thinking that they were added some like in electronic sort of stuff, but wasn't super prevalent. It was like that European metal thing that was coming out for a bit. There was a European metal kind of phase going on where a bunch of European bands were kind of doing like a metalcore melodic death metal, but adding some European new wave stuff, essentially like industrial electronic sort of stuff. But I forget, there was another band that was doing that sort of stuff. I forget the name though,
but yeah, definitely the guitar
work. Sonic Syndicate. They're like Sonic Syndicate.
Yeah, Or you could talk, another one's the Sonic Syndicate and Dead by April or The Unguided. But yeah, I would say Cypress System. If you're a fan of In Flames, Children of Bodom, The Haunted, or anything like that, definitely check it out. Really cool, really different. But the guitar work's definitely like In Flames, my personal favorite band.
Awesome. Well, you got second to last one. This is probably the last one I have that's of a one album band. This one's kind of a well-known one, and I'm pretty sure Jdub's gonna have it. But it is of the one album from Damage Plan entitled New Found Power. Obviously, Vinnie Paul, Dimebag Darrell, I think Bob Zilla's on there, and I don't forgot the vocalist, but obviously this was the last.
Patrick.
Yeah, thank you.
He was the rhythm guitar player for Killswitch for a while.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely the last project that Vinny and Dimebag did together before, obviously, Dimebag was fatally shot on stage in December of 2004. And we got Metal Ben in here. What's up, Ben?
Oh, really? Oh, he just missed my Slammer chat. He just missed my Slammer talk.
Yeah, we just showed. Yeah, he just showed Slammer. I know you probably know about them, Ben.
You know Slammer.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, Damage Plan, obviously, like I said, the last thing Dimebag and Vinny did together, obviously, like I said before, Dimebag got killed on stage. Listening to this a little bit, aside from I've heard the single that they got a music video for called Save Me. I've listened to that song many times, and I don't get sick and tired of it. But I listened to this, it's kind of a continuation of what they were doing in Pantera. Kind of just that groovy, very groovy thrash metal. I know I was even listening to a song that had Zakk Wylde do a solo on it. I think it was Reborn. But yeah, just from what I listened to it, a great album. Wish there would have been more, but we all know the reason why, obviously. So rest in peace, Dimebag and Vinny.
Horns up. Yeah. If I had a shot, I'd take a shot for him right now. The FW locals with me, they lived maybe about 30 minutes from me.
Nice.
Yeah, I regret not fighting to go to that show. I was supposed to go see Damage Plan live. It was supposed to be my first show. My brother was going to take me for my birthday because they were playing on my birthday. It was Damage Plan was headlining, Shadows Fall, Lamb of God, and Trivium.
Nice. But I
regret not going to that.
Yeah.
Still eats me up.
Yeah. Anyway, Jdub.
Well, that's why I want to keep that going for a bit. Is Clint had mentioned that I totally forgot that he did do some fill-ins for Killswitch Engage. I totally forgot that Pat Lackman that he did some rhythm guitar for Killswitch Engage. I think the other guitarist was having a baby and he skipped out on tour or something.
And Patrick was the lead guitar player on, I think, 2 of Rob Halford's solo albums.
Yeah. I was going to say the Halford as well, but I totally forgot about that stint he did in Killswitch Engage, which is quite weird. But
yeah.
And then just to go along with Damage Plan, I remember, I just lived through that whole Pantera breakup and just all that whole thing. And there's me and Metal Mike, hey, man.
What's up, Mike?
Yeah, I lived through that whole Damage Plan, that Pantera breakup, and then leading into the Damage Plan thing. So Pantera had broken up, and I was like, oh, man, we're not going to hear Pantera again. And then the news would come out on the websites back then that they started a new band, Damage Plan. I'm like, and my hype level was through the roof. I'm like, yes, thank God, we're at least going to finally hear something now from, Dime and Vinny. At least something. Something's better than nothing. And my hype level, like before that album got released, was just insane. I was just like, I just want to hear what it sounds like. What does it sound like? And then I think one of the first songs that got leaked on the internet was a song called just New Found Power.
The title track.
It's a very straightforward track, just like, New Found Power. Not too much going on lyrically, right? Kind of a goofy lyrics, but I was just like musically, I was like, yes, great, finally something. My hype level just before that album came out was through the roof, and then obviously it came out, and I was like, it's a great album, and also think there's a really wicked track with the Slipknot singer on. I forget what track off the top of my head, but I
It's called
believe
Fuck You.
right, yeah, that he's on there too. That's a great song, and there's some slower jams on there that are really great too. Yeah, I think I can just bring it out, but
I wish
Yeah.
Patrick would have continued doing vocals. I wish he'd have continued.
Yeah, listening to those songs, it's like, wow, this guy's got a great vocal range easily.
And he was just getting better. Like as I wanted to see, I know because I've talked to Vinny and Dime whenever that album came out, after it came out, I've talked to Vinny about it. And, there was so much aggression on that first album, talking shit about Phil. Dimebag wrote all the lyrics. But he said, Patrick had some awesome words that were going to be on the second album. And I really regret. I wish we could get that because that's all they had left to record. Apparently, what Vinny told me was Patrick's vocals, and like Dimebag had like maybe one or two more solos to record. But he said, I was talking to before Vinny died, I was like, is that album ever going to come out? He said, one day it will, but I don't know now if Rita ever will. Because, she owns everything now, Rita, which is Dimebag's widow.
Yeah.
probably not. I don't think that will ever see the light of the day. If Vinny was still around, possibly. But yeah, I cannot see that seeing the light of day now.
Yeah. All right, Jdub, your final pick.
All right, cool. I saved the most popular one here. You're all gonna heard this band. There's no obscurity to this band at all, and yeah, I don't really know how to kind of lead that into other than it's a super popular band. But you're all gonna know this Velvet Revolver.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here we go. We got the two Velvet Revolver albums. And I think they only did have the two. I was actually going to check before the show, but I was like, no, I'm pretty sure they just do have the two. Oh, there you go. You got it there. But yeah, we got the two Velvet Revolvers. Obviously, Slash, Scott Weiland, and I still dig these albums. I know I would have. Yeah, my hype level would have been pretty hyped for this as well when it did originally get released. What the hell year is this? 2004. And then the second one's, assume 2006, 2007 anyway. 2007, the second one. And Libertad's still good, actually. Libertad's probably more of a grower, but just because you get so used to the songs on the first one. But I love my Slash. I got a bunch of Slash projects and CDs and things like that. I actually plan on doing like a Slash Spotlight Artist series at some point on my channel where I just talk about all the projects that Slash has been a part of, GNR, his solo album, and then with the Miles Kennedy. So he's been involved with a bunch of different projects. So I plan on
kind of Slash's Snake Pit.
Right?
Yeah. Love Slash's Snake Pit, especially the second album. But that'll definitely be one I would definitely join you for because I love Slash's solo stuff easily without a doubt.
Yeah, that second album's awesome.
Ain't Life Grand? Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Fucking love it. Clint.
Oh, this one was tough because I've thought of a couple more while we've been having this discussion. But I'll do one that I don't like. I've been trying to think of bands that nobody knows who they are. I'm trying to think of the most the obscure things. This is one it's sad they even broke up during the first album cycle, but they hyped up the second album even before the first album dropped. They said they're already almost done recording it. Is a band called Scar the Martyr with Joey Jordison.
Oh, yeah, I know about them.
It's such a good album. After Joey left Slipknot, and he was, another band I was going to mention was Murder Dolls because they only had two albums.
Yeah,
but I guess I could bundle the two bands because it is Joey Jordison. I mean, like both bands are incredible, but like one's horror punk, but Scar to Martyr is your typical kind of like just heavy metal. And the main that guy, I don't know his name, but he really has a unique singing voice. He don't sound like anybody else. And I just was hoping they would have more than one album, but unfortunately, I guess the singer and Joey couldn't get along. Apparently, is
Yeah.
what I've heard. But they were hyping up the second album. They're like, "Oh, we're already done with it. It'll be out, early next year, like in 6 months later." And they went on like one little tour, like 5 or 6 shows, and then like I'm like, "Okay, where are they? Where are they?" Oh, they already broke up. What the fuck? One of those bands
Yeah, I
had
think
so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, me metal like he was in Vimic, obviously Sinsanum.
Yes,
And I think the vocals would end up going to Active Defiance, if I'm correct.
Oh,
Huh? I didn't. The vocalist did?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, if I'm correct.
and
Yeah,
Active Defiance had some ex-Megadeth members in it, right? Didn't it?
Yeah, and also Matt Balkin from
Oh,
Battlesfall.
yeah. I think he's playing guitar in that band. I think he's playing guitar instead of doing vocals. But I'd like to see him do vocals. But he was a guitar player for some bands before he did that band, and he never really sang before. And Joey Jordison just heard him just singing and was like, "Dude, you got a unique voice. Let's do something." Is what I saw in the interviews.
Yeah, Henry Derek Ellis. Yeah, he would eventually leave that to go to Active Defiance, which is the super group with Chris Broderick, Sean Drover, and obviously Shadows Fall rhythm guitarist Matt Balkin, who Matt Balkin does bass with that band.
So is he doing vocals or is he getting guitar on that band?
Vocals, just vocals.
What is the name of the band?
Active Defiance.
I'm gonna have to remember that because I've been wanting more stuff with that vocalist.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Alrighty.
That Cinesalem's project, those albums are heavy. That's heavy. That's like blackened kind of.
Guys from Chimera, guys
Black
from
Metal, Black Death, somewhere around there. Kind of very somewhere around there. Anyway, my final one, and this one's one of a band that has, I saved the one that has 3, and I don't really want to talk too much about this one. One on the final one, basically, and that is the solo albums from Obscura / Alkaloid / ex-Defeated Sanity guitarist. I might butcher his last name, Christian Muenzner. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he's been in all those bands. Obviously, they're all, they're on the death metal one. All of these albums are from, I believe, Time Warp all the way to his most recent album. He's a very recent band right now. Now, his most recent solo album, Path of the Hero, came out 2 years ago. And all this really is kind of to sum it all up, power metal / neoclassical style instrumental music. So you're getting power metal, maybe some prog, but mostly power neoclassical, kind of like in the vein of, say, Yngwie Malmsteen, getting without the vocals, all the European type bands, Rhapsody / Rhapsody, Fire Stradivarius, all that stuff. But I didn't really want to mention too much about his stuff, but I figured it's something if anybody is into that European style of power metal, definitely check it out. It's all instrumental, obviously, because it's only Christian doing everything in that band, but it is definitely worth checking out if you're into the power metal stuff or neoclassical like Yngwie Malmsteen. So yeah, that's all it is. Like I said, there's 3 albums. Time Warp, I forgot what the other one was. Something to do with sleep at the end, and then Path of the Hero is his most recent one that came out, like I said, in 2022, roughly a little over 2 years ago. So He is definitely a very he has the diverse range when it comes to guitar, considering he's in Obscura and Defeated, and he was in Defeated Sanity, which are kind of big deal death metal bands.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, when you mentioned Obscura, I'm like, oh, that's Clint's world. He's probably gonna know all about this band.
yeah,
And like, so if it's the guy from Obscura, is that the guy from Necrophagus too?
yeah, Christian was in Necrophagus at one point.
That's another band that only had 2 albums. Fun fact.
Yeah. I might definitely put them on there at this point. So
Yeah. Bonus for y'all viewers. Bonus. So y'all can thank me.
Yeah, definitely. But any.
And I was gonna say, and then when you bring up the neoclassical Yngwie thing, I was like, I haven't played an Yngwie album in a while. I'm probably gonna play an Yngwie album after this show.
Yeah, definitely. But any final words before we end this?
Probably Unleash the Fury. Yngwie and Unleash the Fury. It's got that powery kind of thing going on that album.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope all you people watching found some new music. Go listen to it. Enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I want to thank Jdub. Yep.
Slammer. There's Device that you mentioned, and then my Drain ST8.
Yeah, definitely. We are also going to get into some maybe comments before we close it out. We've only had Ben here and close this out. Mention some of these comments. Should Maiden do a pirate themed album?
Yeah, I laughed at that. You look at the guy. He's looking on my.
I do not know how to. Well, then again, they did a Mayan one. They did a samurai such a Chinese Japanese one. So yeah, that'd be pretty damn cool. Yeah, Ben says, "Oh yeah, I've heard Slammer. I've heard Slammer before." Yes, he mentioned Joey was in the Vimic, where I think the vocalist and another band I'm thinking of at some point doing, but I feel like I've heard the vocalist might have been sounds kind of similar vocals to another band I've listened to called the Safety Fire. Yeah, Haywire, and then he says Derek never gets mentioned a lot, Ryan. Yeah, fair enough. They're one of those I might end up. I'm gonna have to put them on the list. And then he mentions this Chad album. Oh, Shadows Fall. Fall. Yeah, definitely, yeah. But I think at the moment, Matt and John are in a little project called Living Wreckage, which is kind of similar to Shadows Fall, kind of that metalcore, very thrashy style that Shadows Fall were doing later on with Fire from the Sky. But yeah, I definitely, it's been too damn long. And I got that last Shadows Fall album when it actually came out, so.
What, the Fire in the Sky?
Fire from the Sky, yeah.
That album's awesome. That album's fucking great.
I love it.
And then the bad thing is I bought that album and it don't play. So I'm going to have to rebuy it at some point.
I still happen to have mine, and I was able to put it on my laptop here, and I can listen to it whenever I want to. Of course, I got to put the rest of the CDs I have right now in my freaking on here at some point. But yeah, I want to thank Jdub and Clint for joining me in the first of hopefully many 1, 2, 3 and done episodes. Go and check out Jdub at Metal Connection. Clint's on there. I don't know if Clint has a channel or not, but
not yet. I will. I'm thinking about doing one if I can figure out how to do it at some point, maybe by the middle or late this year. But my stage name is Clint Cthulhu, so
yeah, definitely. Hopefully, when it does, I will put a future links in here for obviously put links in the description for Jdub, obviously, as well as when Clint does decide to make a YouTube channel. So thank y'all for joining us to only the two people, being Metal Mike um Metal Ben. Obviously, if y'all like this, well, he's back. Well, obviously, if y'all like this, click the like button or the dislike, whatever floats your boat. Comment below what your thoughts are on the bands we mentioned. And if you're new to the channel, click that subscribe button. We are, well, getting pretty close to 200, hopefully. But thank y'all for watching this live stream. This has been 1, 2, 3 episode 8 of the Damage Incorporated show, the first one in the 1, 2, 3 and done series. We will see y'all later, and as always, keep things metal.
Woo! Yeah. Yeah, thanks for having me too. That was great. That was cool.
Mm-hmm.